Okay, am I live? I think I'm live. Can you guys hear me? I hope so. I'm Elena Anderson. I'm with Black Sheep. Yay, I'm live. I'm with Black Sheep 303 Creative. Uh, I did the Fox card. If you haven't watched my video, this is my card. And I have my dog with me, in case you're wondering. So that was my Fox. And then my bonus was the holiday version, which has the happy holidays on the inside. There you go. So pretty fun. Um, I'm I design cards a lot, SVGs as cards. If you aren't familiar with me, and I do a lot of little intricate designs with a lot of little pieces. So that the fox was definitely, like a little bit of a challenge in terms of paper piecing. I would mention that like his if you don't want to deal with the tiny eyes, you could just draw them in with a pen. Like that would be totally fine. Um, and you could probably do the same thing with the nose. Like if you don't want to just give him a small black nose instead of the big black nose, if that would help. um, I love that you took time to decorate the inside of the cards. What's your favorite occasion? For my favorite occasion, well, Christmas is by far my favorite like card making event for sure. And then probably after that, I like birthday cards. What is it? Oh, hey, Catherine. What is my helper's name? This is Django, like Django Unchained the movie or Django Reinhardt the musician. So the D is silent, if anybody knows what that means. That's kind of a joke in the movie. He's half Chihuahua and half Supermutt, but he is 5% German Shepherd, which is where he gets his coloring from. Although he's an old guy, so he's lost most of his black. Judy asks, have you used vinyl for the little pieces? I have. I mean, not specifically with the fox, but I have on other cards, and that definitely works great. Like if it because vinyl you can cut much more intricate, tiny pieces um, than you can out of cardstock, even lightweight cardstock. So use a little dab of black liquid pearl for the nose. Yeah, that would work great, Kath, for sure. If you don't want to cut all the little tiny pieces. Jody's Junk asks, do you watch the market trends for what styles or animals or whatever are trending and design with that in mind? What is the creative process? My cute dog. Thanks for saying that about my dog. Yeah, I mean, I do tend to look at and see like what's happening like on Etsy or Pinterest, and but a lot of it is honestly kind of like my personal, like what do I feel like doing, especially in terms of holiday cards and that kind of thing. Like if I'm doing, like if I feel like, oh, I want to do some snowflakes or I want to do some Santa or something, I will just kind of go from there. I do a lot. I use my iPad a lot with Procreate to trace things that I don't. If I'm not like really great, I'm not the best drawer. So if I need like a plant or like a poinsettia or something, I will find one on a photo and then I will trace it and make changes in Procreate and then use that to create the SVG. Oh, hey, come to think of it, I want to show you this. Carlos. Oh, sorry. I haven't gotten to watch your class yet. I don't have a Cricut. Do you include files for those of us who don't have a cutting machine so we can print on a printer? And yes, you. I usually include a PNG version, so you could print that out, and it should be sized correctly. I wanted to show you my cat. You kind of see him. That's where the fox came from. So I used the same body and the same head, and I just changed him up to make the fox. So that was how I came up with that guy. I like mid-century modern style, so that was kind of my inspiration for that. Linda Tillman creates, yeah, IronOn can definitely be used on cards too. And actually, in my project for Brandy's next summit, you will see me do that a little bit for a holiday card, for a different holiday card. So yeah, IronOn is great on cards, especially for all those like tiny little details. And it's great for sentiments because sentiments can be tricky to cut out of paper or cardstock. And so IronOn can cut much more detailed small elements than paper sometimes. You love the cat. Thanks. I really like the cat too. It's a shadow box. That is on my Etsy store, I think. Joyce asks, do you have any classes in I don't have any classes in Procreate, unfortunately. I am not an expert at it. I really just use it for my, self. Jen Swift with Well Crafted Studio has a really great book about it, and she might have a course too. So she's a great person to check out. Do I have an SVG for the cat? Yes, I have that is available on my Etsy store. So if you go to my website, which is blacksheep303.com, and then go to store or shop, I think it's shop, you can see it. When is the next summit? Already looking forward to the fall summit season. Yeah, actually, I have a whole bunch of summits coming up. Yeah, there's the Cricut Card Summit is in December, so I'll be in that. I have several coming up in the near future in October. Linda says, my system doesn't like PNG files. Any suggestion on how to convert it? Well, do you have like a graphics program? If you've got, or what you could do is you could open it in Word and then you could save it as a PDF, if that would help you, out of Word. Cherry, are you going to show us how to create single line files for the Cricut so we can create drawings? I actually don't do that in Cricut Design Space. I do that in Illustrator is what I use to make SVGs. You can find in Cricut Design Space, you can find things like writing fonts that are specifically single line fonts that you can use for drawing. You can also use, there are like single line designs or foiling designs that you can get and download from various places like Creative Fabrica or Design Bundles or those kind of places. You can just search for, like single line drawings or foiling designs, that kind of thing. And you'll find a lot of things that way that will allow you to use them for drawing or foiling. I actually, hey, Susan, you seem to have recovered from your, how are plans coming for the next one? So I had, for those who don't know, I founded the Create with Cricut Joy Summit, specifically making projects for the Cricut Joy, because that's my favorite machine. That was in July, and that was a bit of it was a stressful time. So, I was told, Ardith told me that the website for Brandy went down a little bit this morning. I had that happen where it went down for an entire day. So yay. But so those kinds of things happen. But plans are, I have not started plans for the next one yet because honestly, I am working on all the projects for the summits where I'm a speaker that are coming up in the next several months. So I have about 6 of those happening in just starting in September, October, December, January too. So lots of stuff happening with that. But I am thinking about it. Kelly says Creative Fabrica is awesome. I agree. I have been a subscriber of theirs since way back in the beginning. Do I design for other cutting machines? Well, SVGs can be used on other cutting machines. So you can use them on the Brothers Scan and Cut. I have one of those. Wait, you can't really see it behind me. It's blue. And I use a Silhouette Cameo too. So you do have to have designer edition or higher to open an SVG in Silhouette, but usually my design files are in a zipped folder, and they will come with an SVG, an EPS, a DXF, a PNG, and a Studio 3 file, which is what you would use if you only have the free version of Silhouette Studio. So you can open my files in the free version of Silhouette Studio too. Hey, I got Linda says, you got me using my Joy more. I always work with my maker and only thought of the Joy for traveling reasons. Yeah, I know. I'm the same. Like, I have a maker, as you can see here, but I love my little Joy. It really does so much. It's amazing. So I'm glad I got you using it more. Judy, oh, thank you. Thanks, you guys. I appreciate that. That's so nice. It was, you guys were so awesome. Like, with the things that went wrong with the summit, it was really nice to have. So, I mean, like 99.9% of you were amazing. And that is so appreciated. Like, so appreciated. Oh, thanks, Susan. It was a great event, tech issues and all. Well, good. Susie asks, which is my preferred cutting machine? Well, like I just said, the Cricut Joy is actually my favorite cutting machine. And I hate to say it, like I'm almost feel bad about this because I like to root for underdogs. I started out with Scan and Cut, and I really love my Scan and Cut. Because that is amazing. If you're a stamper and you buy a lot of dies for your stamped images, the Scan and Cut is an investment, but you can scan in your stamped images and then cut out all around. You can cut around them. You don't need the dies anymore. So after, say like 5 to 10 sets of dies, you've paid for that machine, and then you can just use it forever. And so I love the Scan and Cut for that reason, because you can scan in your stamped images and that kind of stuff and then cut things out with it. The Silhouette, like the Silhouette Cameo, is a great machine. The software is fantastic, but intimidating. Like, it is quite powerful, especially when you get into like the designer edition and higher versions. And because you can design SVGs out of Silhouette Studio if you want to. I don't use that machine as much, just because I design in Illustrator, and then I actually really, you're gonna get mad probably. I like Cricut Design Space just because I don't really love some of the things about it, but I do love that you can just put your design in, make the changes once you figure out how to do it, and then it'll put them on all the mats and give you all the instructions at once. That to me is invaluable, and it's a total time saver. Like Scan and Cut, you have to put everything on each element's on the mat that you're going to cut, and export it to the machine, cut it out, come back to the software, move everything off the mat, put the new stuff on the mat, export it to the machine. It's a much more cumbersome process. And Silhouette is kind of in the middle, because you do still have to put things on the mat and then send it to the machine to cut it, and then take things off the mat and put the new stuff on the mat. So I do tend towards Cricut because of I think it's easier to use ultimately, and it's a little bit faster. Do I have recommendations for those of us that don't have the distress inks? I was wondering if colored Sharpie ink and water would work. I haven't tried that. Do you have like any ink pads? Because if you have any, especially dye ink pads, so like if you have Catherine Pooler or, Lawn Font, really any dye ink, that can be used as sort of a watercolor medium. So, or you can actually use a blender brush on any kind of ink pad, and you do what I did in the video to color the edges of your elements. You don't have to have distress inks for that specifically. You could also, boy, yeah, Sharpies. I mean, you can definitely do things with markers because, like, for example, my fox here, my winter fox, if you see like the shading on his body, that is all done with alcohol ink. So Spectrum Noir markers or Copic markers would be the same kind of thing. Sorry, I've got allergies, you guys. So you can shade with markers. I would just say try to keep it so that it's not like a really significant difference between the color of the cardstock and the color of the marker, because then you'll get like a really, really obvious line, and you probably want to have it be a little bit softer. So if you have say Sharpies that are a very similar color to, but like maybe a shade darker than your cardstock, you could literally just draw right along the edge with the Sharpie, and that would work. Are your future events listed on your website? They are not, but I was thinking about that today because I saw that Shelly from We Can Make That, she has an events page, and I was like, I need to get an events page. So yeah, if you're on my email list, I always send out emails about events that I'm in. That seems to be kind of like all I've been sending out lately because I just do a lot of these summits, and it's actually a great way to get some of my designs for free. So go on my web. You can join my email list, and I email you for sure. And I should do that. Put up an events page on my website. What is my favorite tool? I love my tweezers. I have like a really, really skinny tweezers from Elizabeth Craft Designs. And I just use it for everything. I use it for sequins. I use it for pulling things off mats. I use it for putting things down with glue. I also love my Barely Arts glue. I have to confess that glue is pretty awesome. And I really like, this is going to sound crazy, but I really, really like Michael's Recollections cardstock, the 65 pound. Like that is my total go-to for cutting out small, intricate designs with my Cricut. It works every time, practically, as long as I've got a sticky mat. Susan, Elena's great about keeping up with events in her emails. That is very true. Yeah. Show us the tweezers. Okay, I think it's behind me. So I don't know if you can see how like skinny the points are. I don't think they make the pink version anymore, but I think they have like a blue version now. This is Elizabeth Craft Designs. I'm in Colorado, and I was on their design team for a couple of years, and they are also in Colorado. So that's how I have that, and I love that. I love this thing. And actually, Tech Wrap Craft makes a really, really nice one too. You can kind of see against my shirt how skinny it is, like super, super skinny and pointy. Mary, I love Recollections. This is all I buy. Yep, I totally agree. Do I use 65? No. Okay, so I do not use 65 pounds for a card base. That is way too light for a card base. So if you watch my video, you know I'll go into this in the video, and actually practically all my summit videos I do. You need to use a heavy cardstock for a card base. So it needs to be like at least 100 pounds and at least 300 GSM, especially if you're putting a lot of layers on top of the card, because people, like when they get handmade cards, they want to display them, they want to show them off, and so they want them to stand up like on a mantle or a table. And you have to use a heavyweight cardstock in order to have all of your layers like be supported on top of the, for the card to stand up. And especially if you add things to the inside too. So you got to use heavyweight cardstock for the card base. The only exception to that would be if you're doing something like a pop-up card, for example, where you might be layering elements together. Like I've got this one I did for the last Cricut Card Summit. And this is 2 layers of cardstock, like layered together, like glued together, basically. And they're 2 layers of 65 pound. And that's okay because once you layer them together, it becomes stronger. But that's like the only time I would ever say it's okay to use a lighter weight cardstock. I know that like insert cards with Cricut, if you are familiar with those at all, those are kind of like an 80 pound, and the card base is an 80 pound. I'm not in love with those. It works fine for the front because you're layering another piece behind it. And so that kind of doubles up and makes it stronger. But the back panel then is really flimsy. So I always put like a second panel to write on inside those insert cards. Like just glue it in there just to give it extra strength. Catherine, you made the birthday card. Got tons of compliments. Yay! I'm glad. Thanks. Glad you made it. It's one of my favorite cards I've ever made. And it's my only pop-up at this point. I need to make some more pop-ups for sure. Yeah, I'm kind of a cardstock nerd, if that makes any sense. I think just because I've made, like I started out making traditional cards, you know, with stamps and dyes and inks and coloring a lot. I did a lot of Spectrum Noir coloring and loved it, but I'm also kind of techie. And I really wanted to design stuff. And I tried for a little while to design stamp sets, and it just, you know, didn't really work. And so I got into the whole like SVG designing, and then that what got me. I mean, I've had Cricuts, and I had a Judy Cameo original like way back from 2010. So I've used the machines. I've not had a scan and cut for years and years. So I've used the machines for like 10 or 15 years or so, and so it just seemed like a natural transition for me to focus more on the sort of Cricut electronic cutting machine side of things. And I've loved it, and it's been great. So if you have any questions about like cardstock or any kind of card making, since I used to do a lot of more traditional coloring and all that kind of stuff, I don't know. Although, Rick, I think we might be running out of time. Maybe not. Catherine, is your first pop-up card so much easier than I thought it would be? Oh, good. So that is part of what my goal always is to design cards that are beginner friendly. So like I make a lot of layered cards, and because I originally loved those layered dies that like are the size of a card front. And, you know, you'd have like 3 or 4 of them, and it would create this amazing design on the card front, but it costs like $80 to buy all 4 of those. And how many times are you going to make that same card? So I was like, you know what, I'm going to make some SVGs using that sort of principle. And so that is how I kind of started. And let me see if we've got something. Like I kind of started out with like this that was a little bit simpler. And then I kind of moved up to things that are more, you know, where you layer different colors together. This one is pretty complex, but they're all designed to fit together really easily. So if you're a beginner, like you just have to layer the pieces on top of each other to get the finished design. And so I tried to do something similar with that pop-up card to make it, you know, not too tough and still get the fun. Like the front is several pieces layered together to get that like confetti look that's behind. So it's like 3 layers of cardstock stuck together to get that look. So it makes it easier. At least that's always my goal with my SVGs. So hopefully I accomplished that. My fox did get a little nitpicky, but that's, you know, I'm also kind of a detail-oriented person. What does Black Sheep 303 mean? Well, okay, so I'm the black sheep of the family. I did not go the road that my parents wanted me to go. So I'm the black sheep. And 303 is the area code for Denver. Now, I don't want anybody to confuse me with the company called 303 Creative, which is also in Denver. That is not me. I will say no more, but if you know what I'm talking about, then you know what I'm referring to. That is not my company. I am thinking about changing the name. So, because of that. But, it's a lot of work to change it. So, we'll see. But so that's where that comes from. Hope that answers that question without being too mysterious. Oh, time to wrap up. Yeah, thanks for coming. Absolutely, everybody. Like, I would love to see your cards if you make them in the group. Like, even if you don't make the Fox card, but you like, Catherine, did I see your pop up card when you made it? Maybe. I always love to see that. So thank you so much, everybody. It's always fun to talk to you and see you and just chat. I love it. So I will see you hopefully at the next summit, which I think would be September for me. So get on my email list if you want to know. All right. Thanks.